Today is February 3rd, and we're talking about what it means to be seen, known, and understood, and how much of our communication happens without words, why we all long for connection, and how different belief systems teach us to interpret that longing. Let's explore what actually helps us to feel less alone in the world.
Hi, I'm Candy. I'm a hypnotherapist who's deconstructing from evangelical Christianity, and I know how mindset shapes our behavior. So, in this series, I'm going to share my daily reflections from 3 different devotionals. The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo, and that one's a little more spiritual, non-religious. Also, Jesus Calling by Sarah Young, which is a very modern Christian approach. And My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers, which is a very classic Christian angle. My goal is to help you see how each one of these devotionals or these day books might shape your mindset a little differently. And if you're into that kind of reflection, please like and follow for more. Let's get started.
For February 3rd in the Book of Awakening, the daily reading is about how our language is so much more than words. Most of our language is body language through our eyes, through how we, our facial expressions, how we stand, a lot of mannerisms. Most of that is the language that we're speaking more than any words. And when we look at one another, we need to keep in mind that all of us, not just you or me, but all of us yearn to be seen for who we are, but we're afraid of being rejected for who we are. And if you took away all the labels, all the programming that has been stacked on top of our subconscious, that our deepest thing, our deepest desire is to be held or to be, I guess I would say, like, to be known and to be, he would say, to be held and to let go over and over, like it's a dance of life. Like, and I'm not quite sure what he's speaking of here. There's a lot of times when I will read spiritual books since I've deconstructed, and sometimes I won't understand what they're saying. It'll just be kind of I don't know if it's gibberish or I don't understand it. And it's not just with spiritual books, it's with a lot of books. So as my mind is expanding and growing, I will read them and I can't quite understand it. And then I'll live a little bit more life and more experience, learn a little bit more, and then I'll go, that's what he's talking about there, or that's what she was meaning. So I think that's the case for this one today for me. I think I'm not quite sure. I can get the first 2 bullet points. The third one, I'm not sure what he's necessarily saying with the desire to be held and let go over and over, other than that maybe the desire is to be connected, but then also to go off on your own and integrate that connection and what you learned from that connection, and then come back and be connected, and then step away from and be off on your own for a little bit as you integrate that information and what you've learned and experienced and allow it to become part of you. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I'm not sure. But I mean, his practice for today is, let's see, he basically talks about, the title of it is Yearning. And he says, as you move through your day, let in what you learn of others by how their being passes you. Without a word, bestow a blessing on each as they walk away. So maybe the connection with one another does something to us and to them. And as we leave one another, we can allow that to be absorbed, become a part of us in some way, however we choose. I don't know. So that's my thoughts on the Book of Awakening. And in Jesus Calling today, the message is that as a Christian, it's for Christians, but that they're never alone. You're never alone. That's to bring comfort, I'm sure. And if you're experiencing anxiety, that's an indicator that you're kind of forgetting that, and you're focusing on the outside world, what you're seeing with your eyes, and not that Jesus is present with you. But if you shift your focus to Jesus in the present moment, you will find peace. And he is only found in the present moment. Now, some of this, and I don't know if it's just where I'm at today, but it just sounds so like, what does that even mean? To focus on Jesus in the present moment. I guess it means focus on that he's there with you, but then it's this you imagining this person sitting there with you or watching you. And I guess that can bring some comfort in some situations. It kind of depends on your view of Jesus. But it shames somebody who's experiencing anxiety, and it teaches them to just focus on Jesus when that just causes you to just kind of escape from maybe something you need to work through, or maybe even you need to ask yourself, why am I anxious? It's not just, oh, I'm not trusting Jesus. It's what is this? What is so scary about this situation? First of all, is it anxiety or is it excitement? Because sometimes excitement and anxiety can show up in the body in the same way, but we don't even get curious. There's no room for curiosity in this way of thinking. It is just focus on Jesus. And this is just, the farther I get away from Christianity, the more ridiculous it sounds. I'm just being frank, just candid here. It doesn't, I don't even know, like focusing on Jesus in the present moment. And it was specific, like not the past, like Jesus is only found in the present moment. I don't know. In my old Christian thinking, this is just like, what does that mean? Does it mean he's just right here and he's not in my future or he's not in my past? Now, I can get that the past and future don't exist. So only the present moment is what you have. But what is the purpose of like focusing on Jesus in the present moment? I guess that he's there with you. You're not alone. And I do kind of cling to, like, I can do this. I think of myself as bigger than just my human body. I think of like my higher self, or just love, and I don't feel alone. I don't know how to explain that, but I think you can do that even if you don't. You kind of rely on yourself. Like, I can do this. It's more of a mindset of I can get through this rather than leaning on some external being. And I think that it puts a lot of pressure to keep your mind in a certain spot. And then what are you supposed to think about in that spot? Are you supposed to picture what Jesus looks like or who you think he is? Is it just a presence that's with you? Which I could understand. I don't know. It just might be where I'm at today, guys. I'm sorry. This is just, some of these are kind of frustrating to me, and I don't really know how to read them sometimes. So that's Jesus calling for today. I'm trying not to misrepresent what the authors are saying, but it can be difficult. And in my utmost for his highest today, basically, the best of Christians are considered the filth of the world. And I am not really sure. He says that, Paul says this. We have been made as filth of the world in 1 Corinthians 4:13. So I honestly think the world, when it's used a lot of times, is talking about the religion. So when people were believing that they were free from the systems, they were considered like dirty. Not in obviously a physical sense, but like in the sense of like purity to God. And it would kind of be like how evangelicals would picture atheists or anybody who rejects Christianity, like the garbage of the world. So that's how I would actually see that today. But so he said the truest of Christians, or the best of Christians, would be considered the filth of the world. That you can believe and kind of be saved by the skin of your teeth, but that's not like ideal. So then he also goes on to say that basically the most worthy of servants, he doesn't say that exact phrase, but he implies that those who are actually worthy, they're willing to experience martyrdom for the gospel and sharing it. and that the morals, like you being a good person doesn't make you good. It's your belief in Jesus that does, and your actions on that belief. Like you have to act on that belief by sharing the gospel. So it's not really about your character being a good person, which this causes a lot of problems. You will see in evangelical Christianity, they will justify people doing awful things because God's using them as a vessel. They're being used by God, and God takes those who are considered weak and, not great, and He uses them for His glory. And then you're supposed to be okay with what they're doing, and that is how we have people in power who are very corrupt, and Christians are okay with it because of this type of mindset that has been programmed in them. So it's disgusting, and I'm so glad that I'm not in that system anymore because this is grotesque to me. So, anyways, that's the 3 books. Maybe you got something from it today. I struggled a little bit with these today, all of them, even the Book of Awakening, to understand what the author was saying. And I'm learning. I'm learning all the time. So just thought I'd share those because I'm trying to stay consistent with this. And I hope you get something from it. Go out. Have a good day.
Remember, you get to decide what you devote your thinking to today. You might not be able to control every thought that comes in, but you can definitely decide what you entertain. And whether it comes from something I've said today or something completely different, choose wisely and set an intention that truly benefits you and those around you. And if you found any value here today, don't forget to like and follow. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and let's keep our minds on what helps us love ourselves and each other a little bit better every day.